because within the Nollywood space, we in main film production, we seek to make meaningful films. That is, films that are not just entertaining but have social or political relevance. And so, again, most of the works are adapted from literature because I've managed to establish this cinema and literature, found this connection. And therefore, it wasn't difficult for me to find Yinka Ibukare's book, The Dazzling Mirage. And I had come across Jane Thorburns' short film, which she made in England about sickle cell. But I felt that Jane's film, which is really, really interesting and very informative, sort of panders or caters for the minority in England. So I wanted a sickle cell story, that appeals, throughout Africa and diaspora. And incidentally, sickle cell is common in Nigeria because everybody knows somebody or a family knows someone who is suffering or living with sickle cell disorder. And so I was really excited to come across Yinka Ibukare's book, The Dazzling Mirage, which formed the basis for the film adaptation of Dazzling Mirage. Well, the story talks, looks at, apart from sickle cell, looks at adoption. Here is a doctor and a nurse fell in love when they were young and discovered their status. And that is that they both carried the sickle cell gene, and therefore they stood the risk of having babies that had sickle cell. And so they decided not to marry. And coincidentally, a woman in labor was rushed to the hospital. They saved the baby, but the mother died and no relative came forward. And they had the responsibility of taking care of this child. And after some time, they legally adopted this girl, then to discover that she's sickle cell. And therefore she has the disorder, So what they avoided now becomes their responsibility to raise this girl. And the girl also grows up and struggles with both the stigma and the pains of living with the disorder, but she's really bitter, towards the parents for putting her through this hell, only to discover that actually she's adopted, So these people have loved her, taken care of her and stood by her. And the story seeks to, people who live with the disorder are written off, sort of, they can't make 21, they will die before 21 years. But Fumiwo, in this case, dares, to look towards everything, success. She craves for what normal people crave for, that is education, career, and family. And, she achieves all this in the film.
What are the differences between the novel and the film?
There's a lot of, it's a bit, this is a very difficult question in adaptation. For instance, a relationship between the original author and the adaptation to, the first decision is how much do we keep to the original material, or what do we introduce in terms of characterization. But we really actually interpreted it in a way that remains really loyal to the original work, but then takes experiences, which in reality about setting, about, extra characters and events, which, so to say, makes it a very contemporary film. I think the main purpose of Dazzling Mirage is to draw more attention to people living with sickle cell disorder, and then to sort of create more awareness for the public, because during the research and the making of the film, we realized that we all need genetic counseling, not only ordinary people, but medical people also, and health workers, need to go through genetic counseling, because we don't seem to know. We need education in a way to be able to make right, choices, based on informed opinion, and not only that, to be able to care for people who live with sickle cell disorder and their families. And essentially, in a nutshell, is to borrow from someone who had placed it so well that Dazzling Mirage, our film, seeks to make the comfortable people uncomfortable, but then to make the uncomfortable comfortable, to demonstrate that they are not in it alone, that we are all in this together. I think substantial funding from this film came from a woman, somebody who is a collaborator, a friend, who gave me the money as a soft loan, in which case there's no pressure for me to return it. There's no time bound, and there's no interest attached to it. She has a company called Still Earth. And again, we got some funding and support from the Lagos State government. And then from our friends like Afro Noli, and I think we went on crowdsourcing, Indiegogo, and of course I have support from Nollywood Upgrade, a Nollywood workshop, these are supporters, main supporters of the film. And we had some interest in corporate organizations who put some money behind it. Besides that, I think I can say that the funding of the film came from friends and associates. We are in the final stage of post-production, and in time, when the film is ready, I think we will go to cinema, and we will, of course, take it to some film festivals, and we will seek to work with NGOs, for instance, where we can deploy mobile cinema. The idea is to make as many people as possible to see this film and learn and be part of the whole movement that we call being sickle smart. And that is, we encourage people to know their genotype and to attend genetic counseling. And then, of course, when the time comes, we'll put it online, but when we are ready, we would announce all this.